This Guy's Garage. Like and subscribe.
Presentation of petitions. The Honourable Member from Mission Masque, Fraser Canyon.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm pleased to rise on behalf of constituents in Mission Masque, Fraser Canyon today to present two very important petitions. The first petition is in relationship to Red Tape Awareness Week and the attack of the Canadian government on producers and manufacturers of natural health supplements. Constituents in my riding are calling on the government to stop over-regulating and let Canadians use the natural health supplements, the Chinese medicine that are a very big part of their daily regimen. The second petition I'm presenting today comes from the Union of Canadian Correctional Officers in Mission Masque, Fraser Canyon, and the needle exchange program that the government is about to implement in federal institutions. Drugs and drug paraphernalia are considered contraband in prison, yet this government is forcing our correctional officers to simply turn a blind eye and allow dangerous drugs to be used inside of our institutions. These correctional officers are calling on the government to cancel the prison needle exchange program, stop permitting the use of illegal drugs in Canadian prison, and to focus on efforts, on helping inmates recover from their addictions in a compassionate way. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Presenting petitions, the Honourable Member from St. Albert, Edmonton.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I rise to present a petition signed by Canadians calling on this government to take all necessary measures that are at their disposal to overturn an unjust decision of the Supreme Court of Canada that struck down a just law passed by the Harper government that would apply consecutive parole ineligibility periods to criminals convicted of multiple murders to take into account each life lost. The petitioners call for the government, among other things, to invoke the notwithstanding clause to override this decision.
The Honourable Member from Kitchener Centre.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. It's an honour to rise to present a petition on behalf of folks who note that a guaranteed livable income would, first of all, establish an income floor below which no Canadian could fall and reflect regional differences in the cost of living. They go on to note that it could replace the current patchwork of federal and provincial income assistance programs with a single universal cash benefit. They note that it could be administered through the existing tax system and require no means testing, thereby dramatically reducing federal and provincial administrative costs. They go on to note that it could reduce poverty, thereby reducing the demand on social services, law enforcement, and healthcare, resulting in additional cost savings for government and taxpayers, and most importantly, that it would provide a financial safety net for all Canadians, especially through major economic shifts, pandemics, natural disasters, and industry automation. As a result, they call on the Government of Canada to implement a guaranteed livable income for all Canadians.
The Honourable Member from Sarnia-Lambton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I have a petition to present that says, whereas preserving our Christian heritage rooted in the Canadian Bill of Rights and the Charter of Rights and Freedoms is vital, we seek to celebrate December as Christian Heritage Month annually, promoting love, equality, peace, and our Christian foundations recognized globally shape our identity. We, the undersigned residents of Canada, call upon the Government of Canada to celebrate December as Christian Heritage Month annually, promoting love, equality, peace, and our Christian foundations. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Winnipeg North.
Signed by constituents that are calling upon all members of Parliament to actually stand and support the Canada-Ukraine trade agreement. They recognize that it is coming up for debate, and they're hoping that every member of every political party will in fact vote in favour of this particular trade agreement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member from Kingston and the Islands.
I have 4 petitions to present today. If you want to stop me and then come back to me, I'm happy with that. I'll leave it at your discretion, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the first one specifically calls to the attention that the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms, Section 2B, protects freedom of thought, belief, and opinion. It further goes on to discuss how the Canadian Bill of Rights, Section 1, protects the right of individual life, liberty, security, and persons and enjoyment of property. And the undersigned members of my community are calling on the Prime Minister and Minister of Justice to protect Canadians' right to advocate without fear, reprisal for Palestinians to live in peace and security. The second petition that I have, Mr. Speaker, this one actually had good news because the government announced measures with respect to it towards the end of last year. This one specifically talks about the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and that we have been warned repeatedly that rising temperatures over the next 2 decades will bring widespread devastation and extreme weather. Addressing climate change requires a drastic reduction in greenhouse gas emissions, and that in 2021 the federal government committed to cap and cut emissions from the oil and gas sector to achieve net zero by 2050. The residents and Canadian citizens call upon the government of Canada to move forward immediately with bold emissions caps for the oil and gas sector that are comprehensive in scope and realistic in achieving the necessary targets that Canada has to reduce emissions by. You know, Mr. Speaker, I've presented a lot of petitions in my day. I've never had the Leader of the Opposition heckle me while doing that, or the member from Selkirk Interlake Eastman, so I'll just jump straight to his petition. This petition, I think, is meant for the member from Selkirk Interlake Eastman. This comes...
And ask the honourable member as I will ask the member to please rephrase his statement so that we could just talk about what the subject of the petition is. As you know, the Speaker has made a ruling on this effect not to make comments about where these have come across. So will the honourable member please withdraw his comment?
I withdraw my comment to singling out the member from Selkirk Interlake Eastman. Mr. Speaker, I recognize the member from Carleton Rising on a point of order. The honourable member from Kingston and the Islands. This petition, Mr. Speaker, calls on all members of Parliament. It says that back in September 22nd, September 2022, at Ward.
The honourable member from Peace River, Northern Rockies.
Certainly, Mr. Speaker, for consistency, he just did again what you asked him to withdraw about a minute before. This was a big deal yesterday or this week with my colleague from Battle River, Crowfoot. You made me apologize for doing something similar. You are not being consistent. This has been the accusation all along. You pick your battles, and we lose most of them, Mr. Speaker. And the Liberals are allowed to just keep doing what they're doing. So I wish you would be consistent, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Here, yeah. Goes along the line a little bit. So I'd like to thank the honourable member from Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies for raising this point. And indeed, as the chair had made clear in a ruling late on Monday, the idea is, of course, an apology and a withdrawal. The first opportunity is always to ask members to withdraw a comment, and that was offered to the member from Crowfoot. It went to a second round, therefore it went to one where it would be an apology and a withdrawal. I've asked the honourable member from Kingston and the Islands. I've asked the honourable member from Kingston and the Islands to withdraw the comment, and indeed he did. You'll forgive me if indeed I will review Hansard to see if that is the case. I was occupied in referring to another issue, but I am glad that the member from Kingston and the Island withdrew the comment. I hope, given the current controversy, and we don't want to have disorder in the House, that he will stay far away from causing disorder in this House.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, just so there's no ambiguity on this, I apologize and I withdraw that comment. Now, what I was saying is that this petition calls on all members of Parliament, and it specifically says that in it. It calls on all members of Parliament to immediately and swiftly enact Bill C-57 that will put into law the Canada-Ukraine Free Trade Agreement that will assist Ukraine in rebuilding after they defeat the illegal invasion of Vladimir Putin. It actually says in the petition, Mr. Speaker, that misinformation regarding Canada's carbon pricing scheme have an effect on this agreement has been widely debunked. Therefore, we, the undersigned citizens of Canada, call upon the House of Commons and all parliamentarians to reaffirm our unwavering commitment to Ukraine by swiftly adopting the updated free trade agreement. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And now, my last petition, Mr. Speaker, that I have today, this one comes specifically from members in the Nexus Bay Ridge Secondary School community of my riding, and they're calling upon the Minister of Finance, the Minister of Families, Children and Social Development, and the Minister of Agriculture and Agri-Food to prioritize a national school food program through Budget 2024 for implementation by fall of 2024. They specifically draw to the attention of the government and the House, Mr. Speaker, that Statistics Canada indicates that 1 in 4 children in Canada lives in a food insecure household, that the Leader of the Opposition is heckling me. I'm just trying to present this on behalf of my constituents. And finally, Mr. Speaker, school food programs are recognized around the world as essential to health, well-being, and education of students, with over 388 million children in at least 161 countries receiving free and subsidized school meals. I really want to thank the community at Bay Ridge Secondary School in my riding of Kingston and the Islands for...
Point of order to the honourable member from Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies, who, just by the way, is not in his seat. I know he's very close to his seat. I'll just give him a little bit of time to do that. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Speaker. And a bit of the ruling yesterday, too, was how long these were taking. And we were spoken about against that you know, there was a tight rules about how petitions were supposed to be tabled in this House, right? And so you weren't to mention members, and now it was supposed to be a brief statement was what I brought to you. So where's the brief statement in this case, Mr. Speaker? Again, we're seeking consistency. I wish you would be consistent in this case. Thank you.
Thank you. I thank the honourable member from Prince George, Peace River, Northern Rockies. Also, that was what was also mentioned in that ruling yesterday is that although the standing orders have been very clear about in terms of if you were to strictly to interpret that it has been the habit of this House and through various chairs, through all chairs, all people who have assumed the presidency here, to allow a bit of latitude on that front, and that was contained in terms of the length. But we do ask members not to offer opinions as to if they agree or not on that, but just really present the points of view that are presented by the petitioners to the House. The honourable member from Kingston and the Islands, I believe, has one last petition to present.
Just in conclusion of that petition, I was just saying that I wanted to thank the incredible school community at Bay Ridge Secondary School in Kingston for their advocacy on this issue and for using their voice in Parliament.
Petitions. The honourable member from Sherwood Park. No more. The honourable member from Saanich Gulf Islands is rising to present a petition.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'm honoured to rise today here on traditional territories of the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. To them we say miigwech. I'm presenting a petition, Mr. Speaker, that speaks to an issue that has seized this House in a number of different ways in terms of pending legislation. It relates to the petitioners are asking the government to take account of the degradation of Canada's waterways and watersheds, and that current laws do not adequately protect Canada's waterways and watersheds from irresponsible industrial practice. The petitioners call on Canada to update our water laws to ensure that no industry or a single corporation can take precedence over the health of Canada's waterways and watersheds, and by extension, to the health of the people of Canada and to the various species that, of course, also rely on the health of these waterways, and to ensure that Canada's water laws are updated under the guidance of professionals and specialists in the field of water conservation. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.